Join us on this journey as we explore the battles fought and the victories earned, uncovering the incredible impact these stories have had on our world. Welcome to the Battle Between Podcasts, where every story is a battle and every battle tells a story.
What's going on, guys? It's your host here, Jeff Skinner with the Battle Between Podcast, and today I'm sitting down with a good friend of mine named Geoffrey Lyons. He's a fourth-generation Rockwall native. He's a U.S. Army Special Forces veteran. He's a sales genius, a marketing guru. The guy is a jack of all trades, man. I'm telling you, he's got an amazing story from his time at Blockbuster Video to Army Special Forces to how COVID almost killed him, and now he's a top 1% sales producing real estate agent in the DFW area, a family man, a husband, and an all-around great dude. So my first question to you, man, is how the hell's your day going, brother?
Had our cat that took a big shit in the food bowl, so the day got turned upside down.
Man, you got a pretty impressive story, dude, and you've done a lot of cool things right now. You're kind of dominating your space when it comes to the marketing side and the social media side of things, which is great. But the premise of this podcast is to really dig into what challenges you've had and what's brought you from where you were to where you are now. Let's kind of kick it off with, behind the native Rockwall kid, social media expert, guru of IT, special forces, who is Geoffrey Lyons, in your own words, behind the curtain?
Man, that's fun. Yeah, no, I'm just a big goober, man. I love Texas. Grew up here, as you know, and my family came here in the early to mid 1800s. I think the 1840s to be exact. 9-week ox-covered wagon trip from Hawkins County, Tennessee.
Wow!
Can you imagine that today? And and I looked at all the way. That's all the way in northeast Tennessee area. So I'm going through that, and I guess the Indians and Native Americans, whatever, would have been getting pushed out around that same time frame too. So the Comanches and all that too, which is wild just to think about. But they came here. They were all a bunch of poor farmers, and there was one token doctor in that mix somewhere. But I got no medical experience whatsoever, no skill set there. So they got washed down a little bit, I think. But I love selling stuff, man. I got that from my mama for sure. My mama's the extroverted one for sure. But I love helping people. I love doing funny, goofy stuff. And at the end of the day, like I'm sure we'll get into it here, I've damn near died multiple times now, but at the same time, every time that something happens, like at the end of the day, I'm like, man, you only got so much time on this earth. So we're gonna live it, bro. We're gonna live it.
100%, man. I love what you're doing with that outlook on life, man, because the shit you're putting out on social media and the things that you're doing, dude, they're next level, man. I'm telling you, like the shit that you do is insane, man. I don't think any real estate agent I've ever been in contact with, I know, they always have the stupid little photo, every one of them, man. But what you're doing is insane, man.
Thanks, bro.
Rockwall, you said 1800. That's a long time, dude. That's insane.
That would have been 1800s. That would have been what's present day Dallas, Sunnyvale, or Garland and Sunnyvale, Dallas County. So my family came here. My granny came over here in Rockwall sometime in the early 1900s, roughly, like mid 1900s, roughly, I think.
Wow.
Roughly. And Granddad ran the funeral business. She lived in the carriage house in the back there.
So you're like literally one of the original OG Rockwallians.
A little bit after that, because that was like after Knupp, after Steger, like all these other folks, but not too long, not too far after.
Yeah. And do you have a track record and a history of all that stuff? Have you looked into that's cool, man.
Yeah.
What was the most unique thing you found when you were researching that?
That there would have been a hell of a lot more of us had apparently it's, from the records I found, like through like Dallas and everything, Dallas County there was like the equivalent of what would have been either today an F4 and F5 tornado that came through and wiped out like a massive chunk of my family. Most of them all got killed. But the only one that survived, the only grandson that survived was, of course, my lineage. So thankful to be here.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So
that was really interesting. But also, too, my this is kind of like not a super sexy thing, but it's kind of interesting nonetheless. I guess it would have been my great uncle or something like that, great grandfather, uncle, something. I don't remember the lineage there, but he ran the the Ford dealership at the time, like back like Model Ts.
Wow.
Time frame. So this is like Bonnie and Clyde era of where they were.
Such a sick area.
He was helping soup up their vehicle to outrun the police, and they robbed the Texas Armory at some point in time.
Bonnie and Clyde?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's man.
But we got a lot of history. But there's other things I won't say about all that I found out. But some pretty interesting stuff.
Man, I remember seeing the quote unquote real Bonnie and Clyde car once, like the old school. It blasted all up, man.
Tommy guns and the drums.
How do you feel the change in Rockwall has been? I mean, you grew up here as a kid, so when you think about, you have children now. So when your kids are how old now?
11, 9.
So when you were 11 and 9 years old, what did Rockwall look like?
It was podunk. There wasn't nothing much out here.
Yeah.
Bro. Yeah. Downtown was both directions on the same road, 66, the strip where you go in and one out. It was both directions. You could drive through San Jacinto Plaza. The curbs were super high. You could hit your shins with just trying to walk up to the
wow.
I mean, it was crazy.
It's insane.
The buildings were in way worse shape than they are now too.
Yeah.
But no, it was different, man. And then traveling from like 30, 66, 552, going towards Roy City, there was nothing there, bro. There was nothing. None of these houses existed. Like this out here in McLennan Chisholm, this was a hole in the wall. I remember like burying people with my grandfather out like McLennan Chisholm, or like one of these smaller cemeteries out here.
It's insane, man. Yeah. I remember coming out here as a kid from Mesquite, and we would just come out here with a John boat, stand at the liquor store, have some old man buy us a 6-pack, and go get a sunburn and catch some fish, and that was it. You said in your bio that you filled out for me that, Blockbuster was a huge thing for you. So you obviously graduated Rockwall High School, I'm assuming?
Roy City
High School. Yep. Okay.
So my family grew up in Rockwall, on my dad's side. Mother's side was North Mesquite, Go Stallions. But
no. Skeeters, baby. Skeeters all the way.
But ski.
Yeah.
But my family moved out to the sticks in Roy City. And we grew up in what is today Rustic Meadows. It was like 3 streets back then. And even that's like 7, 8 streets near downtown near Smoke Sessions.
Yeah.
And but no, that was it was interesting. It was different. It was a different upbringing. It was super podunk. That school was barely a 3A school when I went to it. It was 4A when I graduated high school. And now it's just as big as Rockwall Heath.
Dude, it's huge. I mean, I remember going there constantly with Caden in the band competitions and all that kind of stuff. And this town is not what it was planned to be. There's so many people in this town. The only Blockbuster that I knew of was at Town East Mall. Is that the Blockbuster you worked at?
No. So I started at Parker and Preston, Plano. That was the first one.
Oh, bougie.
And then before I went to the Army, I came to the Rockwall one. I didn't really vibe with anybody there. But it's funny, though. One of the guys at the Rockwall one, come to find out, his name's Chuck Keith, and he's actually like a huge YouTuber. Shout out to Chuck. You're awesome, man.
Yeah, Chuck.
Network Chuck. I think he's amassed like 3 million subscribers.
That's insane.
But he's like one of the most selfless dudes. But anyhow, it was fun. Like back that day, I don't think both of us like liked one another, but we had run into each other since like multiple times. I'm just like, do you remember when we did this with such? Yeah, man, what a small world. But in Plano, that was the 6th best producing Blockbuster globally at the time when Blockbuster was at its prime. Blockbuster was starting to send out movies in the mail, kind of like Netflix and style, which I didn't. It's wild. And that's when like Blu-ray was coming out. If you remember that PS3 days, I remember Batman Dark Knight was coming out, and like we've seen the preview or whatever. We're like, oh god, this is exciting. Yeah. But yeah, I was slinging videos, video games, all the things, all the families, and that was fun, man. And
but wasn't Blockbuster a rental?
Yeah, it was.
So how did you hit like the top 4 salesmen in the world?
Great question. So what they ended up having, they had these things called the rewards program. So you would come and get like a movie. I think it was 6. Yeah, so if you rented 6 movies or games, 6 things. Yeah. The 7th one was always free, and people would use it for a video game typically if they had it, because it was like $9, I think is what it was. I just remember, I don't know why I remember this, but it was for a video or DVD, VHS, whatever. It was exactly $4.64.
How do you remember?
I don't know how to remember. I just remember like slinging all the time. But when I came in there, I remember like the store manager was like, yeah, we got a goal of you to get 1 a month. Like, that's just how low performing it was for most. Yeah. Like, everybody was like, hey, that's acceptable. I came in, and I think I did like 11 or 12, like the first week or something like that. And it just kept going on from there to where I was exceeding. Like, I think like the most I got was like 30 or 40 something like in a month. But, and they weren't that much. I think like 10 or 15 bucks a month or something like that. But it brought in so much more revenue because these people would be encouraged to want to come and use it and get more videos and more tapes, and they showed the production that led to that, the members that came to it, that it was extraordinarily high.
Dude, I remember as a kid having the ability to go to Blockbuster was like a big fucking deal
So
for
much
us.
fun, bro.
Right? And you'd walk around and you're like, oh my God,
yeah.
there's everything here we
yeah.
can't fucking afford. You know what I mean? And mom and dad would be like,
Same.
you can get one movie, and we'd watch that thing for like 8 days in a row. Son-in-Law was one of my favorite movies. I probably watched that movie 5,000 times, man.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your experience, I know you said your mom was more of the sales driver that kind of put you in there. Do you feel like Blockbuster kind of planted the seed for the sales side?
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
There was this one guy, I'm sure he's Russian. I'm sure he had to be Russision. This guy came in, there was one night, and I'll never forget this guy, and I don't even know his name, but I just remember he was a customer, came in with his daughter, and this dude was like dressed to the nines, like nice suit, but like conservative, like looked like a 1930s gangster, like a mobster in New York or something. But he comes in there to like get one video for her for like an assignment or video or something like that. And I remember him just giving like a $20 bill. Now, mind you, this is 2007, 2008 time.
That's a chunk of
okay?
money,
Well, like it was like you could fill up a tank of gas almost with $20.
Shit.
And I remember him giving $20. He's like, "Oh no, it's fun. Keep the change." And I was like, "Holy fuck, man!" Like he just gave me a whole $20 bill. Like, damn, I'm
that's
like,
$13 in your pocket.
Yeah, and I like look at the manager. And I'm like, what do we do with this? He's like, "We can't put it in the till. It's gonna mess it all up." Like, what do we do?
Put it in your pocket.
I was like, and I just thought to myself, I was like, damn, that's what I want to be like, man. Where you don't give a shit. It was like, where you're just not necessarily blessing people, but you're just like, yeah, here you go.
The pocket change doesn't affect your life.
Yeah. He just focused on his little girl and spending time with her. That was
so. What year did you graduate high school?
07.
Okay, so you graduated in 07, which means you worked when at Blockbuster?
I started Blockbuster in 07, so it would have been right before I graduated, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
And how long did you work there?
Since I think it was a year and a half, roughly.
So like 07, 09?
I think it was 06, actually, now I think about it. I think it was 06, because I started before I was a senior in high school. Like, yeah, that sounds about right. But my junior year, I was doing like scanning work for like an orthopedic surgeon that's actually still here in Rockwall, Lake Point Orthopedics.
Crazy.
And and then I went to Blockbuster, and the rest was C'est La Vie, and then worked with them for a while, and things started changing. The store manager changed out. The next one was kind of a ditz, and then came over to the Rockwall one, and I was there for maybe a month and a half, and I was like,
kind of.
All I was doing was chasing girls' money. I was doing club promoting at the same time.
I can see that. I can see that.
And I was just a degenerate, bro. And I woke up one morning, I was like, man, I'm never going to get to where I want to be doing this. And I'm like, I need some discipline. And then I call up Sergeant Williams. He's like, he was the recruiter at the high school back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, man, remember how you told me I could be James Bond if I went into the military? I'm like, I want to do that, man. I want to jump into airplanes, too. That'd be so much fun.
What year did you enlist in the United States Army?
08.
2008? Mm-hmm. And you did 8.5 years, so that means you got out around 2016 and 17?
Yeah, very end of 16. Mm-hmm.
Wow, dude. That's cool.
I joined for 4 years, became 6 became 8.
So your reason for joining behind everything was you needed some discipline?
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be more to that. You weren't running away from anything. There wasn't anything crazy. You had a pretty good upbringing.
Yeah. I was
White
blessed.
picket fence style.
No.
No.
Chain link fence.
Chain link. Yeah, I feel that. So the discipline. Where do you? I mean, there's a lot to unpack with your Army experience, man. When you think about the things that you've done, intelligence and analyst, right? Was that your MOS when you went in to boot camp, or what do they call it? Basic training in the Army?
Yeah, basic training, boot camp.
No, boot camps for the Marines.
After that's AIT.
AIT.
For the Marines. Once a Marine, always a Marine. But man, I always got along with the Marines, man, from the airborne school. Like, we had a couple of Marines in there. We get along because we're like, everybody's like alpha and they want to get shit done. But AIT, Advanced Individual Training, that's when the MOS training. It was like 16, 17 weeks in like Fort Huachuca in Arizona. It's about like 30 minutes, 45 minutes from the border probably.
Wow. Like,
even on the base, mind you, with all the intel's happening, it was common that they would have illegals try to come across the border. Like, they would come across even
still
back
happening.
then. Like, even back then, because they had the little Aerostat blimp thing that has like the ISR and the infrared and all that, the FLIR and all that. But that was it was interesting. It was humbling. My first unit started out in a military police unit doing criminal intel, so I was kind of helping with they called it a DAT team at the time, it was Desertion Apprehension Team. It was helping hunt down basically deserters and people that went AWOL. That was from Bragg, essentially. That was fun. That was exciting.
So grew up in Texas and then you were stationed in Texas?
No.
Where's Bragg?
North Carolina, Fort Bragg.
That's North Carolina?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like an hour from Lejeune. Or no, Lejeune's in California. Or is it North Carolina?
Lejeune's North Carolina.
Yeah, yes. It was like an hour or so from Lejeune. Wasn't that far.
Oh, that's cool. How did you like the East Coast growing up in Texas?
It was nice. The barbecue sucks ass though. It's all vinegary.
What about the sand fleas? I'm a West Coast Hollywood Marine, so I don't know anything about sand fleas. But all the Marines always complain and bitch about the sand fleas. Did you get those? No? So it's just it's a fairy tale for Marines trying to make themselves sound tough. I knew it. I fucking knew it.
I mean, I was the intel guy. I was always in the Kush place, mostly. But no, it's yeah, no, man, it was fun. It was interesting, but.
So some things that I did a little research on an intelligence analyst is collection and distribution to special forces teams, threat analysis, battlefield preparation, skills. I mean, analytical, communicating, critical thinking, adapt quickly to changes, and obviously there's a ton of software. You must have scored an amazing ASVAB score.
It was pretty high.
Did you take the ASVAB while you were
high school?
In high school at all?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was. In high school, it was like the GT. I don't remember all those scores, but GT was like 109.
Yeah,
which is interesting because you need 110. You can do anything in any of the branches.
Yeah,
but
you're a smart dude.
I'm okay. I'm not a good.
No, you're a smart dude, bro.
I'm not a good test taker though whatsoever. Zero.
I think tests are bullshit, anyways.
When I went and applied for doing I did try to go to SFAS. I went there, failed at Land Nav, the Star Course, but
what is that an acronym you just said?
Which
SASF?
SFAS, that's Special Forces Assessment Selection. That's where you go to become a Green Beret or try to get selected to go through the Q course, etc. I failed that absolutely awfully. Like at the time, the standard is like watered down since like the 70s of its inception, essentially, where you have 8 points you got to get, and it's like you're going to walk like 20 something miles over the course of 2 days, and like you're deprived of sleep, everything,
food, the whole deal,
everything.
That's a beating.
And it was also in the middle of July, bro. It was fucking hot as hell. It was so hot.
Humidity.
I think I had 8 quarts of water on me, like 2 gallons of water.
Still not enough.
Every bit of it gone, dude. Drank every bit of it. But yeah, no, that was brutal, bro. That was super brutal. But so the intel stuff though, went to the military police units, did the criminal intel analytics. Then I went to airborne school finally. I had airborne in my contract. I broke the shoulder doing combatives in the military in the most goofball way. It was me and like the other biggest dude. This dude played for Kansas University for I think it's the Hawks, right? Hawks, I think it was called.
Yeah, Hawkeyes, something like that.
No, that's Buckeyes.
Buckeyes.
It's Ohio.
That's Ohio, yeah.
Kansas, I think it's Hawks, whatever. But me and this dude like square up. We're on our knees and we just like slamming each other. And in that momentum of that hit, I hit the shoulder and I dislocated it, popped it out, and I broke the humeral head of the bone. But that was interesting. So it screwed up airborne school. I had 1st Special Forces Group assigned to where I was going to go in Northwest in Washington State. That's where I was supposed to go. So once I broke that, then I had to like sit for a minute, and they reassigned me to Fort Bragg. Thankfully, I ended up in the MP unit. It was the only airborne MP unit in the military, which is interesting. So it's like God's way of saying you're still gonna jump in airplanes.
Yeah. Was this all in your first enlistment 4 years?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. What year did you re-enlist?
It was at 82nd. So I got an airborne school, then I went to the 82nd Airborne.
Yeah.
Everybody tends to know who they are, right? And I go to them. We go to Iraq, and that was in 2011. So this is post-surge. We've slaughtered everybody, most of the shitheads. But like Al-Qaeda is still a thing.
Yep.
But the very pre baby version of ISIS is like beginning to start to brew. Like,
understood.
Like they're starting to separate. Like you got people that are former Al-Qaeda that are now hunting Al-Qaeda down because they've been wronged. They've been thought to be, snitches, etc.
Such a shitbag.
Yeah. And like there's this one, like, and I'll never forget his name either, Colonel Waleed. He's been killed since by ISIS back, I think, 2017, 18. After a little bit after I got out. But he was interesting when I was over there my first deployment with the 82nd. So I didn't get to do a whole bunch of like boots on the ground stuff in that sense because I was always like Al Assad Air Base typically.
Yeah.
But when I went over there, got to go to a couple interrogations, and it was in a town called Haditha. That's where ISIS actually started. It's in the west part of Iraq, up north, and it's so remote and far away from Baghdad, etc., that they self-govern themselves, no matter who's in charge.
Yeah, they're on their own program.
Yeah, because like they don't get support from the government, they don't get water from the government, etc.
Yeah,
they take care of themselves.
Savages.
But this dude was former Al-Qaeda. He was responsible for like helping kill Americans at one point in time. So like we didn't really even like him at the beginning, but something had happened. He had got like made or something where they thought that he had, betrayed them or whatever. they kill him. Like it's like something of a movie, like Law Abiding Citizen, I think it was, or some of these other movies. Like they literally come to his house, they kill his. They rape his wife and children, kill them in front of him, knock him unconscious, beat the hell out of him to where he should have been dead. He survives. Now has a vengeance to go after every single one of them. He was so ruthless, bro. And mind you, this is 2011. Obama's in charge. Like, we're hands off. We don't want to be touching nobody, doing nobody anything. The 82nd is a conventional unit at that point in time, right? So, like, you were our glorified chess piece. And it sucks to say that because, like, we lost dudes over there. Like, it was not good, but and it sucked to be there in that sense because, like, all those times I'm ramping up from '08, right? Like, this is surge time, right? Like, we're, like, ready to go and get, blasting fools.
Yeah.
And delete them from the sky. And, and then we go over there and we're like, we're not going to do so much anymore. But
it's tough when you have your hands tied like that.
Oh, yeah, it was. But the beautiful thing here was they were starting a thing called the STT teams at the time for the Army. It was Stability Transition Teams. And they were always headed by an SF colonel, like a lieutenant colonel. And so we had an SF colonel that would have mostly just brass, like majors and captains underneath them. And then they would have a few enlisted. And at the time I was an E5 or a sergeant. And it was me as an all-source analyst, and they would kind of have these things they called tiger teams. So it was an analyst, they would have a translator who could speak the language properly, but it was also, background check for like a TS clearance, all these things. And then you had another one that was a human interrogator or collections guy. So legally, I can't ask you questions if I'm interrogating you, but I could be the brain that's sitting there in that chair. I'm observing your behavior, and I'm able to pose questions to this guy and slide him across the table because I know everything about that person's family, the tribe, where they grew up, everything. And but we go to sit with this one guy this one time, and he's been interrogated many times, like CIA, everything, well before everybody's been in country. And one thing leads to another. He doesn't talk, doesn't want to say anything, and Colonel Wally comes in and he's like, "My friends, I am sorry. You come back tomorrow." He talk. I'm like, oh, okay, roger that.
So weird,
and to put this this mindset, this was really interesting. So this is like one of my first times in the wire in a hostile area. And when we go there to Haditha, like this is huge, like think like favela, like in Rio de Janeiro, but not exactly, just like little mud huts, little adobe structures for just as far as I could see on the horizon. And there's people out when we rolled up these MRAPs, everybody's like out in the rooftops, children are coming up to us, like it's kind of friendly, but people are curious, but they have, and from perspective, they haven't seen Americans since Marines were out there in like the end of the surge.
05, 06, 08.
Yeah, they haven't seen Americans a long time. Americans that weren't really over there. And and then second day we come back, nobody's there in the town that we could see. You could see like people's eyes peeking over fences and stuff, and like nobody's on the rooftops. Everybody's really far away. There's no children coming up to us, and everybody just kind of got hands folded, but they're like far back. You could tell the receipt, like, oh shit, like
somebody said something.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so we get there. That was really interesting, and they know, and they said that like we had comms and intelligence that they were planning an attack to come after us because they knew we'd come back.
Yeah.
Well, we come back. That same guy that we're going to interrogate, this shitbag has killed like lots of Americans and lots of foreigners too, Australians, English, etc. And we come back and see him. This guy looked like somebody had beat the hell out of him with like a bat, bro. Like his face is so swollen, you could barely see his eyes. Like
they whooped him up, huh?
Oh, this dude was beat up because he knew we couldn't do anything. We had our hands tied, right? Like Americans at that time too, like interrogation was like strongly, frowned upon. That's when like it came out that we were doing waterboarding like many years ago. Like we had affiliations or allegations towards that.
I fucking hate that. Yeah.
So like we were very soft, right? We couldn't do anything. And but he just spilled his guts, like, and this dude told us every little thing we wanted to know, and then we went and executed and took care of business and made that place a lot more safe. But we were coming there, that was intense because then we were like mid interrogation, probably like 30 minutes in or something like that, and then they had said that there was vehicles that were coming to attack us, and they were suspecting like a V-bed, like somebody to blow themselves up or blow it up outside the police station, and so like we ended up boot scooting, buggying out there, whatnot, and like grenade ended up getting thrown at like another different vehicle. I think like 3 vehicles behind or front, I don't remember, but somewhere near there. But we got out there pretty unscathed, and we had helos come and support like that. So that was pretty intense, bro. But
dude, the sound of those things is like they're like angels on your shoulder, bro. Yeah. There was a time Camp Rhino, Afghanistan. That was the furthest insertion the Marine Corps ever went from water to land. And I got to do that with the 15th MEU in 2001, end of 2001. And I'm telling you, man, like we had this one building occupied. SF guys came in, kind of cleared it out. And, then we set up the first forward operating base in Operation Enduring Freedom. Like no bullshit in the history. I mean, that map is Iraq, but this is Afghanistan. They had a whatever jet it was, F whatever you want to call it, flew so fucking low over the building to provide air support one day that smashed like all the building windows out. And dude, that was like a wow factor for me in my life. And I'm like, dude, if you hear those things coming, that's the sound of God coming, dude. That shit is amazing.
America.
Yeah, like, fuck yeah, you know what I mean? So take me to Syria, man. Obviously, most people are very familiar with Iraq and Afghanistan. It was probably the most publicized conflict outside of Vietnam. Yeah. Syria, not a lot of people know that that's a hotbed for terrorists. Like bad, a significant area in the world. It's today, 2025. It's so bad. So take me to Syria and tell me about a little bit about that place. And
sure. So to go from there, where we were, so the colonel I told you about was SF at the time, right? So I'm in an 82nd Airborne unit. I'm in a conventional pawn unit. That's what we were there for. We were there for occupancy more than anything. Because if you think about it, anything now, big major war conflicts, like now at this point in time, like everything is so advanced, and like now you're seeing this in Ukraine with Russia, everything, like you get suicide drones killing people.
It's insane,
now. Like that
dude.
wasn't around when we were doing that.
No, IEDs were though.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like now it's constantly evolving over there, and so that being said, it's like the game has changed, and so when I'm over there, that SF colonel. His name was Lieutenant Colonel Haight, and it was funny because everybody
that's amazing.
Love it. Everybody locally at the 82nd, most of them despised this guy so much, but he was such a badass leader. Dude.
Lived up to his name though, huh?
They called him the hate trait, bro.
Love it, yes. That's gangster. Yeah.
But he was exactly like I was all about this dude because he was like, we're over here, we're getting paid by the taxpayer to come and make this place better. Like we're coming to make this place better and and get ours. He's like, we're getting paid. We're going to do everything we can do legally. Like we're going to kill these people and we're going to make this place a better place and get rid of these shitheads and make this safer for the kids and the families.
I love it. I'm all for it.
Like all about it, dude. But he kept getting hamstrung by like higher. And I think at the time it was General Austin. So that's like General Austin we've seen like in the last like 6 years to a decade. Like he's a douchebag. He's a politician. He's been that way.
Totally.
But when you get that level, you kind of are the politician.
When you get the stars on your chest, dude, you're a politician.
It's different. It changes. Yeah. There's some good ones though. And I don't want to wrong them all. But like that dude, like
absolutely,
he was just kind of a troll. But with him coming there, those STT teams were kind of being forced to pull back on lots of things. But we continued to be able to do mission. So we would have support from SF dudes and some of the SF teams. But we'd also have support from, the Army or even potentially Rangers for different missions, different sets that would go, like, especially when we went back to, like, the Taji and north of that, I forget the corridor going north and south through Baghdad. But that was interesting. But when I go over there, one thing leads to another. We're doing missions. We're doing things. Like, he liked it. Like, I was up, like, dude, I'd be working, like, 16, 18-hour days, but I was enthralled, bro. Like, I was, like, sucking it up, like, getting all the knowledge as much as I could. Researching all about everybody's last names, their tribes, where they came from.
You're fixated on it.
Because it was just so fun because nobody was doing that. Everybody was doing the bare minimum, and they were just doing what they needed to do to get the job done and get back to their families. Because like everybody was over there like, hey, we're collecting imminent danger pay and stuff, right? And they're just like, hey, it's safe. And I'm just like, no, dude, like we are here, like
track down and kill the bad guys.
Yeah, like we are here for a mission, and it's to be lethal and effective. And that's why like Pete Hesgath, like man, like right now,
love that guy.
I would love to be back in this time.
Yeah,
but a little out of shape right now. But but anyhow, I get not drunken off of it, but I get really excited about the philosophy of the unconventional forces, which is the SF world, the special forces for Army, like the SEALs for the Navy, right? Marine Recon, etc. And he inspires me to come to there. So he was the J5, I think, after that for Special Forces Command, Special Operations Command in Korea of all places.
Wow!
But he made an introduction and got me, basically a hookup to where I could go to 7th Special Forces Group down in Florida. Made some calls and I was able to get some orders for reenlistment. I'm like, hell yeah, I gotta go to Special Forces and go support those dudes and do the cool spooky stuff. I'm like, hell yeah. Re-enlist. And I re-enlisted at 82nd. It was so shitty. Like, I don't miss it at all. I miss the guys. I do not miss doing
the command.
All the fuck games, bro. Like,
what year was that re-enlistment?
2011, I think.
Okay.
2012.
You say you went
it was
to
like the year after deployment, I think.
You say you went to Florida, Special
Yeah.
Forces down there.
Yeah.
That's
So
like
they used to be at Bragg too. It used to be at Fort Bragg. They went to Eglin Air Force Base. It was an Air Force base.
in Florida.
Yeah, and that's where Special Operations Wing for the Air Force is at. So like think like
because then they can just.
yeah, like think like your AC-130s and your gunships and all of that stuff, your Spectres, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like they got Hurlburt out there. They have Eglin Air Force Base, which is conventional, but they have all kinds of different transport wings and things out there too. But that's where they had the real fun stuff. They're it's near Destin, where it's at from perspective. An hour east of Pensacola, about an hour west of Panama City, for those curious. But I go over there. I end up at 3rd Battalion, 7th Special Forces Group, and every Special Forces Group has what they call a CRIF team or a SIF team, Crisis Response Force or Counterinsurgency Force. Mm-hmm. It just so happened to be in 3rd Battalion, where I was at, was C37.
Badass.
And so these guys, for perspective, these are the dudes that are doing the Tier 1 support, direct support to JSOC, or in other words, like CAG, Delta, and all these other fun groups. But so
the scary, spooky shit.
We got to do even more fun, spooky stuff than we already had access to. Like the whole group is amazing. Like, and I love and miss those guys immensely. And matter of fact, I've convinced some of them to move out here to North Dallas in Texas, which has been really cool. But it's
wow, dude, that's amazing.
And the Special Forces, like those teams, man, are so effective. And for perspective, a Special Forces team or ODA is made up of 12 men. Right, like you get the officer, you got the chief warrant officer, you've also got the master sergeant, and then several guys in between that are all especially specialized for one specific thing. Like 1 or 2 guys roughly on a weapons sergeant, I think 1 or 2 for demolitions, a couple others that will be more so like communications, commo, right?
Yeah.
And it's just all these different skill sets. One of them will be an intelligence guy too. At 18
really?
Fox is what they called it. That was like not necessarily super new, but it was becoming a newer thing that they're focused on because they're realizing like
that's
hey,
a critical
we need
puzzle
this
piece.
Yeah. And so some of them they're all adept at whatever language for their host area, right? So like 7th group was Central and South America focus. And so you might want to like, why the fuck would you go to Syria? Your AO is Central and South America. And we'd inherit Mexico, even though that's a NORTHCOM asset because of Spanish speaking predominance. And so we'd be training like federales, their equivalent to their SF for all these different countries from like Colombia, like El Salvador, etc.
Dude, I've known you for years, and I have had no clue.
All kinds of fun stuff.
You did all this cool shit, man.
There was lots of fun stuff, bro. And so I go over there, and it was, I got there in 2012, I believe, and I got out in 2016, November. So I was there for a hot minute, and that was so much fun. And after that, I had Special Forces Command Europe lined up. But this is, mind you, 2014, 2015, around when I was thinking about, I think it was 2015. Yeah. This is when all these terrorist attacks happened. My wife and I just had our second baby. And so we got like 2 under 2 at the time, right? And this is when like all the terrorist attacks would happen, like Paris, France.
Oh, yeah,
Brussels.
they were hot. Yeah.
They were like, ISIS was around now. Like ISIS was like killing, murdering people in the daylight.
Fucking savages.
And, yeah, like, it was crazy. But so my wife was like, we don't
you're like, no thanks.
You want to be an entrepreneur anyways. You want to get out and sell stuff and make money. I'm like, okay, yeah. So we got out. But when I was over there, so the colonel that we had above us, or the battalion commander we had, is a lieutenant colonel.
You say over there in Syria?
Well, 7th group, so 3rd battalion where I was at. So the commander that we ended up getting, the 2-star general at the time, Major General Kraft, who was in charge of Special Forces Command for U.S.
Yeah.
And a Bragg. He came from 7th group, so this is like he knows his guys, he knows his people, and he has obviously tons of influence. He's like, hey, who can we use for this special mission, which was OIR, Operation Inherent Resolve, was the name that they were calling for Syria. Yeah. So this is like transitioning to Syria, focusing on what's going on there, because now, Syria's falling apart. What's his name? Assad. Yeah, Assad is like losing control of the eastern part because now ISIS has been bleeding to the west part of Syria. And they've been going back and forth for years anyways. When they're Al-Qaeda, etc., they would constantly go to Syria across the border. When we were in Assad, or El Anbar province, the western huge province of Iraq, if you look at a map, that they would skirt across Syria because they knew that we couldn't track them down or chase them as conventional forces. So we're hands tied. But now we have guys in there, and we're, it's kind of a mix. We are, quote unquote, like the focus was ISIS, right? Mm-hmm. And like defending the region and their influence because they were, jacking us up in Iraq and all these other surrounding places too. Yeah. But when we go over there, we have little places, little bases just scattered all around, typically around the east and even some parts of the north.
Little
because
FOBs.
yeah, because like like the Kurds, like a lot of people don't know about Kurdistan, like but people have been overseas, they know.
Yeah.
Like the Kurds are like our most reliable force over there. But funny enough, they're communists, but they are
Can't trust none of them over there.
Yeah, but like that was the most trustworthy people. But if you could put in the perspective of how volatile this environment was in this time frame, so we go over there. The news is not all over all this stuff yet.
Nope.
So we're in Syria. We have guys on ground in Syria. There's the Green Berets, and there's also Delta. There's CAG, JSOC elements, and others that are in country. There's no news on it. We are operating freely and being very quiet, very covert, and it's a very small presence. I am in Qatar. I'm not physically in Syria myself, but we're working in Syria every single day, like all missions, all days, all the assets. And at that level, it was so exciting and so humbling because we had access to all the toys. So all the arsenal of the U.S. military and the Department of Defense. And, obviously not to get into any sensitive stuff, but it's just know that if you breathe, we will find you on this planet. You will not survive.
See, that is so insane to me because I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that kind of stuff. Obviously, it's just amazing to me, the technology that's out there. I'm a tech guy. It's what I do. And, dude, you can't move on this planet. I mean, this thing right here.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah, it's a signature. Yeah.
Everywhere you go. And the fact that we, as a public, civilian sector, only know that of 2% of really what's out there is fucking insane to me, dude.
And
it's
we're
crazy.
always evolving. We're always evolving.
It's insane, man. Let me ask you this real quick. I want to bring this back in real quick to war and death. We've all seen it. And some of the death that we've experienced from our brothers happened after post-combat. Some of it happened during combat. I mean, probably between the both of us, we probably got 15 or 20 guys that we know have died, either in country or out of country. What's one thing after all the stuff that you've done from combat, the exposure to combat, that stuck with you that you weren't able to bring back from over there?
Man, that's deep, bro.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I mean, the one guy, there was 3 guys individually that I got to know. One of them pretty decent, like David Hickman was his name. And he got taken out with an EFP. So this is, electronically formed projectile. It's an IED, but it's engineered, right? Like this is the Iranian shit that's involved.
Insane.
This is the Iranian Shia stuff. Like some of their smaller groups, and they're basically taking like a not an RPG round, but like what the hell are those called? It's like a specific round. I forget the type of it, but
some sort of projectile.
It's a shape charge. It's meant to penetrate anything, and it does because the way that it's set up is it's like just this ultra super hot molten point, and the way when it goes to explode, it doesn't matter how crazy your MRAP is. It goes in there and it goes out. But the thing is, a lot of people think like, when a bomb goes off, you hear about like IEDs are usually lots of ammonium, like a lot of explosion, concussion, like massive explosion, and just throw as much shrapnel bullshit in there as you can to like kill and damage as much, right? But at EFP, nothing on this earth can stop that. Nothing. It will kill you. And it's not just the damage it causes through going through. It's the collateral, because imagine being in a box that is completely sealed. Yeah. These up armor MRAPs, right? But you go through and have a shape charge that goes through there. The momentum and speed and the heat of what it's going through, it will just incinerate and cause so much massive damage and basically suck you out, like if you're in space, and try to suck out, material. Right?
That sounds disgusting.
So, these things have come through, and I remember I think it took a couple of different guys' legs going through there. And like David, I think, was in the middle. I think it went, if I'm not mistaken, right through his stomach, chest area, and whatnot. But that dude's gone, And there was multiple guys from that had injuries that postponed from that, and that they couldn't continue life.
The after effect.
Many of those guys, they passed away within the next year or 2 years down the road. It's like you would constantly keep hearing these. We'd go to funerals, right, and support you guys. But things like that continue to happen and occur. But for me, it's a lot different than a lot of people would say. Death doesn't affect me the same as everybody else. I'm kind of numb to it. And maybe it's a psycho problem. I don't know. But I don't know if I told you, but my grandfather ran the funeral home here in Rockwall forever. He ran the funeral business in East Dallas. Okay. We did all the burials. I was a kid helping bury dead people all the time and putting caskets out, setting up viewings, right? And helping as a child doing these things and seeing that. So I saw death all the time. and I started learning, death doesn't affect me the same. Like
from a very young age.
Yeah. So it's kind of like life comes and goes and does what it does, but at the same time, like you had relationships with some of these guys, right? So like that's a whole different thing. You're deeper, and you had somebody that came and took their life, sooner than they should have, right? So now that creates, some type of way in you, and anger, so more so when being overseas, it's like more momentum, more energy, and calling for me to do the very best job that I could do over there and do as much as I could with what I was given. And so when I was over there, like I was balls to the wall all the time.
So that was your motivation.
Yeah, and like this is what leads to the next part. So again, even though I'm in Qatar, Qatar is a safe place today. Like Qatar is a pretty good place. It's like Las Vegas, the Middle East, kind of like Dubai. It's similar. Because once you got the main strip, though, it's like slaves everywhere. Like there'll be tons of, most of the countries, like it has Bangladeshis that run the country. Like it's like 30-something%. It's wild. Of their own country people is not even there. But when I was over there, again, we are doing operations constantly in Syria. We are having to work alongside in a way with Russia, like not work with them, but we're having to deconflict airspace constantly, every single morning, every day, during lunch, etc. And we'd have people translating and saying basically, hey, look, we're flying sorties, we're flying mission, don't shoot us down. Or, hey, look, we're doing a training operation, training air quotes. We're doing training for different types of things with these people. And for perspective, it was just such a hairy environment because NATO, Turkey's a NATO ally. Turkey hates Kurds. They're killing the Kurds. The Kurds are the only ones that are actually helping us hunt down these terrorists. Turkey's kind of letting these Al-Qaeda, ISIS guys kind of run amok, kind of do their thing. Like they ain't pursuing them. They don't like them, but they're not pursuing them. They're not messing with them because they're the same.
Deconflicting their involvement.
Yeah, so like we have that going on. We also have the Kurds who are losing some faith, confidence in us in a sense because at the same time, like we're in such a volatile situation, we can't disclose intelligence to Turkey truthfully. And so every morning, every day, I'm briefing like 9 different countries' leaders, like their generals, their secretary equivalents, etc., at U.S. Forward CENTCOM headquarters, which is in Qatar.
Yeah.
And I would have to step on eggshells constantly by what I would explain, what I would
How
do.
you say it.
Yeah. But be very cognizant that I can't say something that would compromise what we're doing over there. And it was interesting, man, because like one time, I was going back to like my little like chew on the other side of the base, and like they would like bus us around sometimes to those things. But when I was leaving, these 2 Turkish generals, they had offered to take me. They had a car, and they're like, "Yeah, well, come with us. We'll take you." And I was like, "Okay." It sounds kind of Russian, not Arabic, but I remember driving back with them. It was like a 5-minute, 6-7 minute drive back to the side, and I just remember one of them. The one driving, look at me in the rearview mirror and talking to me. He's a buddy. He's like, hey, where are you from in America? I was like, Texas. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, Texas, Cowboys, right? Everybody knows about the fucking Cowboys.
Everyone,
right?
dude.
Everybody knows about the Cowboys.
Shittiest fucking football team ever. Yeah. Bastards.
But he had said something to the effect of, we treat our friends right. Like we trust our friends. We do what we're supposed to do, but we take care of one another. And he's like, we are not stupid. Like we know that y'all are doing things and working with people, that you should not be like inferring the Kurds.
Wow.
And it's just like, why you not tell us? Like, why you not tell us something? I'm like, oh, sir, and I'm just like bullshit on fly. Like, man, I don't really know. Like that's
a real quick on your toes discussion.
Yeah. But it was really intense, and it was just to kind of give like a real quick glimpse of kind of how like delicate the situation was, the environment. So
absolutely,
you have guys and gals around you all the time that you don't trust. I don't trust any of those people over here. You've got like Saudis, them, Qataris, like, and it's just wild too, because like the Qataris and Saudis were like some of the laziest people. Most of them would never show up, and they showed up. Some of them would legit be like asleep on the floor, just like.
Dude, that's a whole nother conversation because the forces that you work with over there are such full of shit, dude. Yeah.
Like they just don't really give a shit to make this place better. They're just like, you're here, okay.
They're existing.
And but when I was over there, I ended up getting shingles. This is what leads to me getting shingles. And so like I'm working seriously like 18-hour days, like pretty regularly. And with like, and for perspective, I was trying to train for like a sprint triathlon at the time. So I was in pretty damn good shape. I go over there. I now have a couple soldiers underneath me too. And I'm also in charge of like the entire night shift and most of the day shift. And, we're running ops consistently, having to brief everybody,
24/7,
having to help our guys and work in the skiff with the English. And dude, it was just intense. And so we're deconflicting airspace. Our guys are in country at the time when, if people go back and Google this stuff, we were really nervous that World War III was going to kick off like that. It was just like so nerve-wracking because Turkey had shot down a Russian jet, and it was one of like their future jets, like their generation 4 or 5 jets. Like at the time, our F-35 equivalent for theirs, like Su-34 or something.
Billions of dollars.
Yeah, like expensive aircraft, very, very good. And they shot it down with one of our man pads, like Turkey did. So it was we are the ones that have been giving them stingers and stuff over the years, right? And things. So they used a U.S. weapon system to take that down. And instantly, completely dead comms, no comms whatsoever to do with the Russians. And this went on for a couple of days. And we're just like, oh, shit.
Shit's
but it's
going
like
down.
the first like 12 hours, like pins and needles, bro. Like everybody's just like super on high alert, like super, conscious and nervous about what's going to happen because like there's no response from like the Kremlin and everybody else over there. And it's like it was a Sergei Lavrov and all these people. Like you just know that there's threats coming, but people doesn't know what does that mean.
It's still the way today.
Like, technically, a NATO ally just shot down and attacked Russia, and so that happened. And I remember they killed when they were descending. The pilots ejected as their aircraft failed. And or they ejected like right before it or something, but the aircraft got blown out or whatever, and they're coming down, and there was a Al Qaeda equivalent that was also supported somehow by Turkey. They had a bunch of guns and everything, and they were shooting at these pilots descending. They killed one, desecrated his body, humiliated, drug it through the streets, and I think they they tortured the shit out of it. But one of them got away, and so it made it even more nervous too, as one actually fled and managed to get out. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, golly, imagine what he told them too. It's like, man, that's insane, dude. Like, we're gonna get attacked, bro.
I think at any,
that's all I thought about.
I think at any moment in the world today, with the way things are, man, there's always a conflict.
Oh yeah.
There's always something going on, intel gathering, recon, some dude getting shot from a mile away that no one knew about it because he was a threat to society and some culture or whatever. I think. Yeah, shit could pop off at any moment, dude.
Yeah,
you know
it could.
What I mean?
It could, man. And over there, it was intense because like right up and before and around that time frame, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like right before that or right after that. That's when the media started really getting involved, like CNN, Fox News,
fuck them.
like all the mainstream media is beginning to start to send correspondents in country. So now we have to be a little bit more cognizant about these guys now being in ground too. So we can't just go and willy-nilly go after some huge target or whatever that might be traveling down a big city and shoot like a Hellfire missile at this dude, right? Like we can't just willy-nilly go and take these dudes out like we were freely doing more or less.
Yeah, you got the eyes on you now.
Yeah, and at the same time, like we're not trying to destabilize Syria, but we're trying to destabilize Syria. Like and now we see what
it's never going to happen,
right? Like we see what's happened with Iraq, we see what happened with Libya. You take out the leaders and the countries fall and go to hell in a handbasket. So people were cognizant at this point in time. The government would be, I would say. And we didn't necessarily want Bashar al-Assad out per se, but we knew that he was a piece of shit. And at the same time, like we despise Russia, and we're having to deal with Turkey that doesn't trust us. And now we're kind of betraying the Kurds in a way because Kurds were getting killed. Sometimes I feel like because of things we couldn't share, and it's like the guys on your left and your right that you need support from of host nation, like we couldn't do much of anything, man. So if you just be in that mindset, it's like.
You did a lot of shit in 8 years,
It was upsetting. Man. Yeah, it was fun because I always tried to do more. I wanted to do more, but I told myself like when I joined with the recruiter, like I always thought that was funny. He's like, "Yo, you can go be a super secret spy or whatever." Dude, there's nothing like that. When you join my job, like that is nothing like that. Can you get to that level? Absolutely,
for sure.
But that is so itsy bitsy microscopic. Like the odds of that happening is so slim to none. But to do that, you've got to be like. Creme de la creme and your PT, right, for one thing.
Oh, you got to be top 1%.
Everything's going to be the best.
Top
Everything's
1%.
The best. And you got to be slaving away, busting your ass. But at the same time, put yourself in those positions. And that's what I tried to do is put myself in those positions because my mindset was that, I'm going to continue to do everything I possibly can to be in the best position to where I could be a spy one day because I knew I would be good at it because I could build rapport with anybody overseas. And I know everybody about country. And that's where it's so neat, too, because now I take these experiences back and all the various 3 little alphabet soup agencies that have trained me. They made me a monster in a good way, but at the same time, I could take those skill sets and I bring that into the real estate world or just in business world. Period. That I could sell ice to an Eskimo, but at the same time, it's like I can build rapport with anybody. I can learn anything about them. And so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how diverse or how different somebody is on the other side. Like, I can connect with them.
So you
That's
exited
all from the military.
You exited the military in 2016, right? And we're in 2025 now. What was it, 5 years ago? The China virus, the COVID virus hit. And you know what? For the listeners, everybody has their own opinion on this whole thing or whatever. You were in the hospital for 33 days, dude. And anybody who knows what even 5 days in the hospital looks like, number one, it sucks. It's expensive. You don't know what's going on there. So I just want to quickly talk about and share with the audience. Yeah, you almost died in the hospital. So my question to you is now, day 20, day 30, when you were at your worst and you had no idea if that was going to allow you to get out of the hospital, or you were looking at the Reaper, talking to him, and you were going to die. What do you have for the audience, for the listeners, that's what this show is about, the battle between your ears and how you come around from the bullshit that you've been through. That's probably the lowest of the low, because you didn't die and get to take the easy way out. You had to die mentally and physically there until you regained your strength and everything. What did that look like for you?
That was the single most traumatic thing in my life.
After all the shit you went through.
Easy. Yeah. It was the most traumatic. That was the most gut wrenching. And that was a challenge. And like, I do believe, like, I'm not like a huge Bible thumper. I'm absolutely a believer in like God is my savior. But at the same time, like, that was humbling. Like, that's when like I really came to know Jesus, so to speak.
Like, you were face to face with the next step.
And I'm like, and as I say this, like, I'm absolutely a sinner. I'm not a good person. I'm a good person. I'm not the best person. Right? I've screwed up along the way many times.
We all have.
But that being said, having been in that moment, man, like, that was tough, because my wife and I just had our third baby in February during the ice storm. This is the year of the ice storm.
That thing sucked.
Okay, so like it took me 2.5 hours to get my truck out of the driveway, because my driveway sloped like 45 to 30 degrees or so downwards. And so I had to like melt ice and stuff the whole time, like several huge spaghetti pots and pans of hot water and stuff. It was wild. But I finally get over there. My wife's water's breaking as we're crossing the bridge on 66. I'm idling, bro, the whole way down 66 to get to Lake Point over there. I'm just...
Yeah, sketchy.
Yeah, but anyhow, and we just had our baby. This was in July. I guess I had an open house in July sometime. And I remember it was for my friend Chrissy, and I ended up going to an open house for her. A bunch of people coming in. This is COVID, prime time, real estate market's at the peak, the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Homes are selling like that. There's so many bodies coming through this door at this house, and I don't even remember where it was at.
Someone gave you
But
that
I
shit,
clearly got it from there. Like, it was no doubt about it. But every time I get sick, too, like, I don't take medicine unless I absolutely have to. Unless I'm dying, I don't take medicine.
Yeah.
But I get really, like, sick. I get kind of nasty, snotty, and gross, but I'm just like, it's okay. And I don't get headaches. I had a headache. Like, it just didn't feel good. And it was like day 2, day 3. Day 3 really sucked. And then it was day 3, I think I finally went and got tested. I was like, oh, shit. I went to, like, the county courthouse here, and they're like, yeah, you definitely have COVID.
Stick it in your face.
But ironically, that same day, this is a miracle, that I had my annual VA physical, like, that same time, like the checkup appointment, to see how we're doing. And they're like, yeah, you got COVID. Had I not gone and done that, the VA would not have had helped me with that. And so the VA helped me with a lot of my expenses on the hospital side. We still paid a bunch, but that was wild. That was scary. But
so take me to being in the hospital.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting to. So now to the hospital, I'm in here. I roll up in here. Well, first, I wake up. It's like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, something like that. There's like four or five grown men, like, I think it was EMS and firefighters, that were over my bed. I remember glimpses of them putting me onto a gurney, going down all those damn steps, of my house.
Oh, they came and got you from their house?
Yeah, because my wife would call the ambulance because I wasn't breathing.
Whoa, shit.
And, like, so I was out of it, bro. But the thing was, I was sleeping on my back. Come to find out, your lungs are on your backside. You shouldn't. That's the worst thing you could do if you get COVID. You sleep on your belly is the best thing.
Or any sickness.
I let it get plaqued up, so that's what happens. Then the lungs got plaqued up with pneumonia. And I get there, they rush me. I remember weaving, like, bits of, like, having oxygen in my face, and the guy holding me down, like, on the gurney, like, weaving in between traffic and 66, I'm assuming. And get there, and I remember there just being people everywhere. All the seats are filled. I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm just, like, not coherent. Like, I'm just, like, kind of in and out. Mm-hmm. And it was like that for, like, 2 weeks, like, at least almost 3 weeks.
Where you just had this, like, I'm here, I'm not, I'm here, I'm not.
Yeah, just out of space, like, not mentally there. Yeah. And, like, and you could tell that because the text messages I was sending to people, especially my wife and my mother, they were just so random, bro. They didn't make no sense. They were incoherent. Like one of them, I saw my wife. I was on the second or third floor, I guess, whatever, and I had a window. I guess I was peeking out of, and I was telling her about how like oh my god, like there's like guys what I think are ninjas. These black suited guys that are coming in across
your head was
the
toast,
thing.
dude.
I'm like, they're coming to get me. They're gonna come and get me. And then another time I text my mother. I'm like, you know what? I think I feel okay. I think I'm fine. Like I'm just gonna get up and I'm just gonna take these little things off and I'll just meet you downstairs. It's like I think I'm okay. And she calls and they're like, hey, we just got a weird message from your mom. Is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. But it was a week. I think it was the third week. I think. I'm not improving at this point in time.
Not getting any better.
Everybody's dying. I've been there so long now. I think it was week 3 is when I really started to come to. That's when I start really paying attention to the intercom, hearing the alerts to set the codes and things that they're using or saying in the code. And I'm like researching, like, what the hell does that code mean?
Coherent enough to hear it.
Yeah, I keep hearing this one code. I'm like, what's that mean? I'm like, oh shit, that's a coroner. Like that's universal, like medical things. Like that's coroner. Somebody's dead again. Like another one's dead. All these people are dying, and they're filling up beds. And then at this point too, like they're really aggressive. The doctors are literally like robots. Like, and no shit aimed to them. Like I respect them and I appreciate it, but they were fucking worthless to me. And I just remember them coming in and checking in on me, like, hey, okay, yep, okay, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, that was it. Yep, and they're out.
Yeah,
and it was, I think it was like the third week roughly, and I'm kind of come to my senses. All right, I'm listening to this stuff, and the guy begins to like essentially quite threaten me. Is like, we're about to put you on an intubator. Like it doesn't make sense. Like we've got too many people that need beds. We have no more beds. Like
wow.
And so now like I'm kind of I feel guilty. I'm like fuck. I'm gonna let them be the reason people die because I'm not fucking getting better, but I don't want to die too. And it was just miserable, bro. And he's like threatening me with a ventilator. Like I'm down the dumps. My family can't see me, right? Nobody can come to the hospital.
Oh yeah, you're solo.
You're solo dolo, bro. And it's like the only thing I can do is like talk on the phone occasionally and text and like see my baby growing up without me, And it's like,
man, how much passes through your head at that point?
It was hard, yeah, dude. Because all I was thinking about is, man, we just had our third baby. And for perspective, I just got laid off the year before from the IT world. And so now I'm full send. I'm full send into real estate. And at the very end of 2021 is when I'm like my first full time year, and I was finally hitting my stride. It was like that month right before I started. That was my first. That was to be July. Was to be my first July or August. Yeah. This was to be my first multi-million-dollar month of gross sales and business.
Yeah, because you started from zero with the real estate world.
Yeah. Like it was humbling, bro.
Yeah.
And having come from the IT world, right, and then I did social media consulting, try to help you out, and a couple others, and like that was a blessing in disguise. Like it's like shit, I'm not equipped for all of this, but at the same time, like I helped a lot of people. That was really cool. Got a residential realtor client, came over there, and one thing led to another. I got in real estate full-time residential because I started commercial, doing referrals on the side. Mm-hmm. But then I'm in this, I'm in this hospital here for so many days or weeks or whatever, and there was this one RN, I'll never forget, this respiratory nurse, and she's this really funny, sassy black lady. She was so funny. She was so funny. And she comes in, and like I'm down the dumps, right? I'm just like miserable, and I'm like, oh, pity me. The world is awful, and I can't see nobody. I'm not really eating my food. I'm kind of like a little lethargic. I'm just like, I guess, depressed. And she comes in there, and like not to check up on me, but I can just see her kind of like do one of those like walk bys, and then like step back. She's like, hey, Mr. Lyons. I was like, yes, ma'am. She goes, wait a minute, didn't you say you had children? I said, yes, ma'am. And she goes, how many kids you got? I go, 3. She goes, were you there for any of those births? I go, yes, ma'am, all 3. She goes, what? And I'm kind of not understanding why she's asking.
Yeah.
She's like, do you remember what the doctor said to your wife? And I was like, shit. Now I'm like, huh? I'm like, breathe, push.
Yeah.
And she's like, exactly. Puts her hands up on her hip, and she get a little head cock. Exactly. You better stop breathing, and you better stop pushing. And I remember just dying laughing, cackling so hard, thinking about how ridiculous that was. And I started coughing up the most disgusting, nastiest, greenest phlegm in the world, and just junk. And I'm getting paper towels, and I'm just like blowing this stuff in there. And that began like this cycle where I was like, almost like my body was like ridding itself of this toxin, this junk, this crap coming out, right? And I don't know if I pointed out earlier, but when I got to the hospital, they said my lungs were 80% compromised in pneumonia. Like,
Damn.
they were plaqued up. Like, I was not breathing, right? And my mental state was not there.
You had a lot of shit to get out of those
Like,
lungs.
Yeah, dude, it was nasty. But it's like that began the momentum and forward progression. But now at this point, I've been bedridden for 3 weeks, bro.
Just laying on your ass.
3 weeks, laying on my ass. I can't get up out of the bed now by myself. It's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I definitely could get out of the bed. And like, it was wild, dude. And so now at this point in time, what do you call it? My muscles have atrophied like crazy. You know, I have not used them. And I've got pictures, and I'll have to end up sending you one because it's crazy. But I went in there, and I was about what I am now. I was like 270, 275 roughly when I went in there. When I got out, I didn't even weigh myself till we got back home. So mind you, I was living in the hotel for like a week, 2 weeks with a pusher, a walker, and all that stuff. And I was like 190, 194,
Damn.
something like that.
Almost
so
100 pounds.
I was probably like 175.
You're like me then.
Yeah, like
Holy
I was
shit.
bone thin, bro. Like, my muscles were gone. And it just continued to get better and better and better. And this girl started checking up on me every single day. I ended up telling my mother. My mother is like ecstatic, and you know, and so is my wife. Everybody's really ecstatic. My mother starts just spoiling the piss out of all the nurses and the doctors.
Yeah.
She's like, almost every day, she's like straight up like paying for like all their food. Like, she's like catering
they saved
food,
her son.
catering like Jimmy
Yeah.
John's and the Subway, like all these things, Tiffany's cookies, all these things. And just super thankful. And then eventually she was able to come and see me once I got past a certain stage where I guess they said, like, you're not contagious.
You're still sick, but you're not giving it to
you're
people.
also not so weak, immunocompromised that you're going to get sick again from somebody else, whatever. And of course,
Oh, yeah.
everybody's wearing the mask, right? And most of the doctors are like in those bio suits, you know, like, so
Yeah.
you're seeing them through like a piece of like plastic,
So gnarly, man.
like a costume. But that was tough, bro. Like, that was mentally tough. And to have got through that, because I should have died, because the intubation was threatened on me, I think like 4 or 5 times. And there was like, please just agree to take this intubation. But at the time, everybody that was getting on those was dying. Like, and I knew like 3 or 4 people that had got put on a ventilator. They died. You get put on a ventilator, you're done. Like, it's just the way it was
That's
working.
closed the casket on you.
Yeah, like, you're donezo. And I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen, dude. I'm like praying nonstop all the time.
Yeah.
And literally, I believe because of the amount and the volume of people that were seeing my story through my mother and my wife, but especially my mother was posting all the time about me. And as she did that, it kept getting shared.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I mean, even WFAA ends up picking it up, and they come in to interview me and talk to me, and they're just like, man, like, you literally are on your deathbed. You should have died. And, you know, in the headspace I was in at the time too, you know, and I think I said on video camera too, I was like, you know, I told myself, I was like, I would have got the vaccine, but I didn't. I was like, at the time I was convinced I should have got it. And now I was kind of having second thoughts because so many family members are pressuring the shit out of all of us to get them. Like, you should get them. I'm like, fuck no, we're not getting that vaccine. I'm like, that shit kills people too. We ain't doing it.
Even people that got it.
But now that I've had it, right, doctors are like, hey, look, you've been on medication. You can't even get it minimum now for 90 days. So you need to wait. I'm like, okay, when day 90 comes, I'm going to get that thing. Thank God, dude, that was 90 days, bro. That was a long time because I ended up obviously not getting it. But it was in my mind too, right? So this mental state. But it was just, that was brutal, bro. That was real tough. And
what's some message to someone that may be battling something currently right now, mentally or physically, from the lowest point in your life? What's the message to them to get through it?
Man, they need to find something that gives them momentum to go forward, whether that's God, whether that's, you know, their family. You know, the thing that was on my mind was my wife and my kids. Like, that was my main thing, is getting back to them, you know, because
Find
I'm the
your
breadwinner.
why.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm the breadwinner. They rely on me. They need me. Nobody else is going to take care of them. You know, my wife is a stay-at-home mom, you know, so she's not employed. She's not making money. She hasn't been employed a long time.
Sole
so
provider.
Even get a job. Yeah, it's like, if I don't get back out there and bust my ass, like, you know, they're not going to have anything. They're going to end up being like on the side of the road or living with my in-laws, you know, and being a strain upon them or a burden to somebody else. And I couldn't do that. Like, so it was like the inverse of, you know, I think where some folks get to really dark places mentally where, you know, they're like, hey, maybe everybody can go on without me, whatever. Like, that was absolutely a non-factor. That was unacceptable. Could not happen.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a weak state. And, like, obviously, I think I could have, like, given up, if you will, like, so to speak. And, like there was times where, like, I definitely, like, floated through my brain. But, like, I never really contemplated that being a serious thing because of just the tremendous guilt I would have had for my kids to be left by
Oh my
themselves.
God,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
bro.
would have never allowed that to happen. So that was my why. But for somebody like that, man, like everybody's different. Everybody's background's different. Everybody's story, but most importantly, their life factors, things happen to them to, you know, mold them a certain way and how they respond to stimuli and things. But for me, it was just my wife and kids latching onto something that I love and believe in and I want to be around, right, and be there for, you know, because it's to not have that, right? It's like, what's your why? Why are you here now? What are you here to do? And so, like, I saw it in a way that, you know, God has more for me to do. God, He ain't done with me yet. It's like anybody else that was in my position at that time was dying. Anybody that had been in the hospital long, they're dead. They weren't making it through, right? So it's like, okay, I'm like, all right, roger that, yes sir. Like, I don't know what you want me to do, but like, I'm gonna go about and I'm gonna bust my butt and glorify you. And that's what too, like through real estate too and everything I've done. Like, I've had massive success, and it's all attributed to Jesus. Because seriously, like, I shouldn't be here for one, but now I continue to keep ramping up, keep doing better, and breaking records and getting recognized like top 1%, top 2%, like all across. And
which is amazing,
I've been
by the way.
been really blessed. And like, my whole goal now is to become, you know, I don't know if you've seen Owning Manhattan, like on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Sirhan. It's like I paid him.
Sirhan's
for
a beast.
I paid him for coaching that year.
Really?
That year after. Yeah, I paid him for like almost a year. Learned a lot of things from that, and that was really good. And so my whole thing is, I want to become him, but of the Dallas-Fort Worth region, the North Texas. That's my goal, and that's why, like, these videos and everything I'm doing, this is
totally
what I'm going
different.
towards. I want to be, when you think of Dallas, people think of Dallas Cowboys, they think Jerry Jones, they think Mark Cuban, Mavericks, Luka, etc. I want to also have that association mentally where they're like, Geoffrey Lyons, you got to go get with that. That dude's crazy.
Well, I think you're doing an amazing job, dude. And I think, I mean, you and I have known each other for a long time, man. I'm so grateful that you spent some time to come on the show with me today. You know, damn, I've learned more about you than I thought I knew about you for the last 8 or 9 years that I've known you, man. So here's what I want to do with you. I want to kind of lighten the mood a little bit here. And I got this segment I'm starting. It's called Fire for Effect, right? So quick shot. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you just a quick answer for it. All right, you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, cool. So what is your most useless hidden talent? You gave me 3 or 4 of them, but I want you to tell. Useless hidden talent. What's the coolest one you got?
Balance a soccer ball in my head. Like I could dance with it and walk around with it, bounce on my head.
That's insane. And you do this for your kids, they probably love it.
Oh yeah. And my coaching did for the random kids too.
If there's a zombie apocalypse, who is your superhero fire team? For the listeners, a fire team is 4 people. Who's your superhero fire team in a zombie apocalypse?
Like actual people or like
superheroes?
Oh shit. The Terminator for sure. T-800
Sick.
For sure.
Yep.
Judge Dredd for sure.
Stallone.
I am the law. And John Wick, bro, for sure.
That's one of that dude's gangster. 100%.
John Wick, dude. John Wick.
Your best burger in DFW.
Wells, for sure.
Wells Cattle Burger. Yeah. Okay, all right.
With the egg. Got to put an egg on top of it, though.
And then let's end this whole segment here. What's a quote that you live your life by today and every day?
I mean, I've really kind of stolen and adapted the same thing like Ryan Serhant does with time. He just says, ready, set, go. And it's like, that's how fucking I live my life. It's like,
I love it.
Balls to the wall,
love
100 miles an hour, fucking Dodge Hemi Charger, and, blower out the roof. Like, that's what we're doing.
Well, brother, I love you, man, and I appreciate you spending the little over an hour with me on this show. I think we have a ton of useful information for our listeners that can go back to and understand that no matter where you're at in life right now, no matter what you've been through, you're never out of the fight. So Thanks again, brother. I appreciate you very much, man.